Hi, everybody. Tom Van Hoy with this week's Pitt State Softball Insider Show with PSU head coach Elizabeth Economon. Her third year, 28-22 last season, 16-12 in the MIAA, finished 7th. Made the MIAA postseason tournament, lost a pair of games in Kansas City to Fort Hays 8-0 and Truman State 4-3. Preseason number 6 in the coaches poll this year, returning 15 players, including two-time All-Region player Tiffany Brown. Pitt State opened with 6 games at the Arkansas-Monticello Classic in Bentonville, went 4-2. On Friday, won against Upper Iowa 9-5, lost the second game to Minnesota State Mankato 6-4. Another doubleheader on Saturday and 2 wins, Minnesota Duluth 4-3 and Harding 6-2, and then finished the tournament on Sunday with 2 games as well, losing the first to Rockers 4-1, and then beat William Jewell 7-6 in 8 innings. Here's Coach Economon on the play of her team the first weekend.
Overall, very happy with the performance of the kids. We went 4-2, close on the 2 losses, played well during one and then not so well during the other, but we kind of figured that would happen at some point. Having not been on the dirt for 3.5 weeks, we knew we would have a hiccup somewhere, so got that out of our system, but overall, pleased with the entire team effort.
How difficult is it to play when you haven't really had much of an opportunity, as you mentioned, to get outside?
It's, we go back to, it's like riding a bike. You know what you're doing when you get out there, but it's tougher, I think, mentally to know that you're prepared to do that. So a lot of the girls, they need positive reinforcement, and they need to know that they've done it and they've performed well to then do it in a pressure situation. And we talked a lot about, as the snow was falling, having a positive mentality and visualizing and knowing and trusting your skills and your skill set that we've had and worked on for the past 8 months. So I think we kind of talked them out of a little nerves. And they really did perform well defensively. I was very happy with the effort from everybody.
Does it help to have experienced players that's gone through this before?
Yeah, and this is my 3rd year here. This is the worst winter we've had. So some of the seniors know that, you get what you get, and we'll find out what happens when it happens. And the good news is the younger kids don't know any better. So we take what we get every day, and then we hope we can sneak outside at some point. And if we don't, we have a good plan. We're creative with the indoor, and we get our work in however we can.
What kind of transition is it for somebody coming from high school softball to the collegiate level?
Oh, it's very different. It's much faster. And we talk about that. In high school and club ball, before you get to the college level, there's the top of the order, typically 1 through 5, that can hit the ball pretty hard, and the pitcher can kind of take a break, 6 through 9 maybe, or 7 through 9, and such is not the case anymore, where we're facing teams that are hitting 1 through 9, and then their bench players are tough as well. So I would say that there's really no breaks when it comes to throwing to an opposite team's offense, and then, people are faster, coaches are smarter, players are more instinctual, more naturally gifted. So it's tougher, and it goes back to that mentality thing too. It's when you're playing high school ball and club ball, you can play 6 or 7 games in a weekend, and turn around and do it again the next weekend. And 6 games for us this weekend. Thankfully, there were 2 on each day, but that wears you out. Wears your body out, and it wears your mind out, because they're really expecting the ball every pitch, and it can be very physically and mentally draining. So that's one of the things we talked a lot about, but we've prepped them with, the weight room and the conditioning, and we make the practices pretty challenging so that when we get to the game, we're not facing a new situation.
So you play Upper Iowa, Minnesota State Mankato, Duluth, Harding, Rockhurst, and William Jewell. I would imagine you probably saw a number of different styles, did you, during that time?
We saw a lot of different things. One of the best things I think I took from it is that our pitching, compared to the pitching we faced, is very competitive, if not better than a lot of the pitchers we faced. So that's great news for us, because it all starts in the circle, and so that's where we have to get everything figured out and then move forward from there. But we saw some teams that had more off-speed pitching and more short game offense, and then we saw some teams that had good power pitching and hitting. So all the teams we faced mixed it in a little bit of everything. So we got our fair share of opportunities to make some plays on the defensive side and see a lot of different arms.
Tom Van Hoy with Elizabeth Economon, the head coach of Pitt State Softball. What's your style of play, Coach?
I'm. If you ask my assistant coach, she would say I'm very offensively minded, and I don't know how happy she is with that. She's a pitching coach, so
yeah.
I'm more of a let's hit it, and we're going to run a bit, and then we'll hold them down on the defensive side and get out there and hit some more. So right now our team is much more built for power than for speed, and that's something that we're trying to work in with our incoming recruiting classes. But I'm very offensive minded, and that was the most fun part about the game when I played. So we like to hit, and then we like to hit some more.
Is it difficult? I know if people don't know your background at Truman, outstanding player in this league. And sometimes that doesn't transition a good player to coaching. Has it been tough for you sometimes to see something happen and know that you could do it or you could have done it? I mean, is it take some patience from your standpoint?
Yes, I think I've grown into that much better. When I was younger, it was a tough transition because you don't ever learn how to coach. I guess when you're playing, you learn how to play and you learn how to be a teammate, and the learning how to coach comes from coaching. So at the early stages of my career, it was tough. It was challenging. I had to figure out ways to communicate what I knew and what I thought everybody else knew. So that took some time, and unfortunately or fortunately, it depends on how you look at it, every athlete is different. So it's one thing can work for one player, and that can be completely off for another player. So getting to know your personnel and how they think, how their brain works, and how they react, and what they need to be motivated, that was the challenging part. And I think when I came to the realization that the same thing's not going to work for everybody, and then I was able to really get to know the kids and learn about them better, then it made me a better coach. But yeah, at the beginning it was tough. I just wanted to say, do it, get it, just hit it. You can do this. And then we've learned a lot. Now we explain things in quite a few different ways to try to reach everybody. So definitely a challenge, and I don't think that'll change. I think that's the nature of the beast, and we're going to have different kids every year, and they're all going to be a little bit different from each other. So it's fun.
Has the game changed? And I go back to the day when, you were trying to make contact. You were on the move, out of the box. Sometimes you had players hit left-handed because you're closer to first base. Mm-hmm. It seems to me, take King Brown, and in your case, hit a couple of home runs and is the player of the week. And is it much more of a power game now than it used to be?
What I feel like I'm seeing, it is. Yeah, it's very much, it's more offensive, and we have, bat technology to thank for that, and everybody's starting at a younger age and hitting lessons when you're 7, and so on and so forth. We don't see so far, and we haven't seen as much short game stuff as I would expect the Oklahomas and the Arizonas and those kind of teams they get. We would like, obviously, if we can get some kids that can get down the line in under 3 seconds, that would be awesome. But there's not that many of them out there anymore. So we work it in when we have it. We have a handful of lefties, and we'll mix it in just to keep the defense honest. But in my opinion, it has transitioned a little bit more to power, which works for me because I'm much more, I'm into that.
So did you put the schedule together, or how'd that work out?
Yeah.
I had to look at it about 4 times to make sure I had it right. You have a number of games on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to try to pull it up here real quick. We have,
I think 6 out of the first 34 games are at home or something like that.
Yeah, and we do, we're lucky that we have, we have half of our schedule is conference, so that's pretty much already set, which is great. And then really, I don't try to come and play at home too early because typically we're under snow, and I think we're supposed to play on Saturday. I think we're going to get it in, so I'm really excited about that. But otherwise, we try to open mid-March here at home, and then I like to, when I can, work it out where toward the end of the regular season, we're here for a long time. I like to get the momentum toward the end of the season, have 12, 14, or 16 straight home games, get our kids some rest, get them to class, get them comfortable with what we're doing before we go to the postseason. So we were able to work that out for the most part. We have an away conference series right before the tournament, but we go away quite a bit before we come home for a long time. So hopefully by the time we get here, we're settled in, we know what we're doing, we're clicking on all cylinders, and then our people in Pittsburgh can watch us do it.
Well, I know you're offensive-minded, but as you mentioned earlier in the conversation, it starts with pitching. How are you in that particular area this year?
I think we're going to be okay. We have 4 different pitchers, and we're at our level. We don't have a Kaylani Ricketts or, Alicia Hollowell that are going to throw every game for the duration of the season. So we are much more of a staff mentality, and we'll win by committee. However, we need to piece it together to offset the offense of the other team. We can do that. So all 4 of our pitchers have different strengths, different speeds, different go-to pitches, different mentalities. So we've got a little bit of everything, and part of the fun part for the coaching side is figuring out who works best with each other and who sets somebody else up for success. And so we were able to do that a little bit this weekend and pair a couple of people together that really threw off the opponent's offense with mixing speeds and locations. So learning about our staff and who can go longer and who can, maybe close it out, that's the exciting part. Of course, we would like everybody to go 7 innings and just take one turn and take care of their game and then move on to the next. But in reality, for us, at this point at least, we're going to have to put the puzzle together and figure out how we're going to piece together a win. But all 4 of them are really talented and have the ability to do great things, shutting people down. They're very smart, and Coach Katie does a great job of educating them on the opponents and using our strengths versus their weaknesses and setting people up so that we can stay out on the defensive side for a very little amount of time and then come into the dugout and spend some more time in there.
How do you feel your team will be offensively this year?
It's a good question. I think we have the potential to hit consistently 1 through 9. We were able to win 4 games where we hit well. I think we scored 31 or 32 runs this weekend, or more. I can't remember, something like that. And we really didn't have a lot of hitters hit for high average. We have, I think, 4 or 5 kids that are hitting above 300, which doesn't mean a lot this early in the season, but we preach a lot of get on base and then we'll run and we'll take care of it. We'll move you over. We'll hit behind you, do all of that. So despite the fact that we didn't hit high statistically for average, we were on base a lot of the time. We drew a lot of walks, got hit by a few pitches, and then executed our job, moved some runners over, and hit behind them, hit some sac flies, and then we really got lucky because a couple of our kids had really big hits when we absolutely needed them. So I think from the first 6 games, we did well. I think that we will continue to improve as they see more pitches and as they get more comfortable in the box and getting outside and, getting to a little bit of rhythm. But I think that'll be our brightest spot, if I had to guess, based on the personnel we have. So we're really excited about getting back after it this weekend.
Were you nervous going into the first weekend because you hadn't been outside and want to build a little momentum? And the other thing about that is you're playing 6 games in 3 days, so it could get away from you a little bit, but you came out of there 4-2.
Yeah, I wouldn't say nervous. I think, and I can't speak for everybody on the team, but I think more excited and eager to get out there and finally do something. After a while, our poor freshmen, they were excited to get on the bus and leave Pittsburgh, first of all. Yeah. But since they got to college, they haven't played a real game. We had, of course, a couple fall scrimmages, but some of the freshmen really thought they came to college to practice. So they've been doing that for 6 or 7 months, and so they were so excited to get out of Pittsburgh and get on the bus and show us what they could do that I don't think they had any time to be nervous. And we, from a coaching standpoint, we've seen our returners. We know what we can do staff-wise, so we weren't nervous on our end. But you're right, we played some good teams down there. Mankato and Duluth had 40 wins last year. William Jewell had a really good season last year. So, and we had faced Upper Iowa once before, and we knew what they had pitching-wise. So we knew that it could very easily be a really tough weekend, but we also knew that if we stuck to our process that we've been working on for what seems like forever, that we would be able to come out on top on most of those games.
Hey, before we wrap it up here, I think I called her Tina Brown earlier, but Tiffany Brown.
Yes.
She hit a couple of home runs for you, returning a 2-time All-Region player for you. I guess it starts with her offensively for you.
Oh, yeah. She's she's the kind of kid you want in your 3-hole for sure, because she's never, even if she's down on the count, she's not out. She's always ready to go, ready for the next pitch, very clutch. And, I mean, we could all hope that she'll continue on the tear that she started, but she's just very instinctual, very smart, very talented, naturally gifted. So she'll be a big piece of the offense, obviously, big RBI producer already early in the season. So she does that, and then that takes a little bit of pressure off the kids behind her in the order, because they've seen her hit, and we know the rest of us can hit as well. So they see her being successful, and then everybody else gets a boost of confidence that, yeah, we can do this. So she sets a tone early for us.
So do you have like a weather radar or something on your screensaver there this time of year?
I have about 4 or 5 different weather pages up on my in my internet, and then we have our athletic trainer. He purchased a weather service, so he's keeping us posted as well. We get some text messages here and there, so we've mentally prepared the kids for the tarp soon. They love the tarp, so we'll be putting that thing on and taking it off more than anybody would ever want. But got to do what you got to do.
To wrap it up here. It is if you get to play this weekend, it's kind of a rare opportunity. You'd like to have people come out and watch you play on Saturday. You play doubleheader with Arkansas Tech, right?
Yes, correct. 2 and 4.
Like for people to come out and take a look at your ball club, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that would be. We would very much enjoy that. It'd be a nice excuse for everybody to get out of the house in the winter if it's in the 50s. We'll take everybody we can get out there.
That's Pitt State softball coach Elizabeth Economon on this week's Pitt State Softball Insider Show. Gorillas are home with Arkansas Tech on Saturday, a doubleheader, 2 and 4. Then 8 more on the road, so 14 the first 16 away. After that, 14 of the next 18 on the road as well. So 28 of the first 34 games this year are away from home. And then 15 of 16 will be played in Pittsburgh. I'm Tom Van Hoy.